Hey, what's up? I'm Ara, aka I Eat Zebra, and welcome back to the channel. It's here, the first trailer for the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The movie is based on the novel of the same name and is hitting theaters on November 17th, 2023. If you're new to my channel, you can check out some of my other videos covering The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, linked below. This trailer is jam-packed. It has a lot of moments from the film that are not just in the first act. Based on what we have seen so far, it is looking pretty book accurate. I'm going to break down the trailer frame by frame for you all to see what we can uncover. I'm only going to reveal relevant spoilers based on what we see in the trailer. I will keep all other spoilers to a minimum for those that have yet to read the book, which I highly recommend you do before November. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get to it. So, takesy backsies, a little setup before we get into the trailer. The prequel centers on President Snow as a teen, and at this time he is just simply Coriolanus Snow. I want to mention it here. I will refer to him by his nickname, Corio, given to him by his cousin Tigress. Yes, that Tigress. Just because I think it's cute, easier to say, and I'll be saying his name a lot. This movie takes place 64 years before the Hunger Games trilogy, and is not far removed from the Civil War that ripped Panem apart, resulting in the creation of the Hunger Games. Now let's really get into the trailer. We open on a shot of the Capitol Academy. This is the elite high school or secondary school that Corio attends. It then cuts to Dr. Volumina Gaul, played by the incredibly talented EGOT winner Viola Davis. I just want to say she looks so menacing in this trailer, and she is the character I'm most excited to see. They appear to be having a school assembly where she is introducing the Dean of the Academy, Casca Highbottom, played by Peter Dinklage. You could tell it's the school based on the red student uniforms. I have to say, I love these uniforms. They have a futuristic Catholic private school feel to them, but not in the same over-the-top Capitol style we see in the future. We can see there are some students not in uniform that are wearing predominantly black and white clothing. These students are going to be the student mentors for the 10th annual Hunger Games. Based on the casting news, I was able to identify a few of the mentors in this shot. We have Max Raphael playing Festus Creed, Tom Blythe as Coriolanus Snow, Ashley Liao as Clemencia Dovecote, Zoe Renee as Lysistrata Vickers, Caitlin Ekin Pelumi as Demita Wimsawick, Lily Cooper as Arachne Crane, Josh Andres Rivera as Sejanus Plint, and Joshua Cantara as Gaius Breen. A few are harder to identify, so if you know their names, please drop them in the comments. We cut to Dean Highbottom taking a sip of what I would assume to be morphling from a vial. He is addicted to the opioid-like substance. Morphling also appeared in the main series, as Joanna Mason became addicted to it in Mockingjay. The first card says, "Every game has a victor." Then we hear Dean Highbottom starting off the reaping ceremony for the 10th Hunger Games, as he walks by a few students. We can see behind him there's a wall tribute indicating they're in Heavensbee Hall, which is named in honor of one of Plutarch Heavensbee's ancestors. Then we focus on our first close-up shot of Tom Blythe as Corio Snow. I hope they keep it the same in the movie, but the shirt he is wearing was made by Tigress in the book. As Dean Highbottom's voice plays, we can see on the TVs in the hall there are two tributes on the screen. They are Facet and Velverine from District 1. Next we get our first shot from District 12 and a look at Lucy Gray Baird, played by Rachel Zegler, who is one of the main characters. She walks up to the crude platform after she has been reaped as a tribute for District 12. We can hear what I assume to be the voice of Mayor Lip from 12 introducing Lucy Gray as the girl tribute. Lucy Gray is wearing her iconic rainbow dress. She also gives us a bow that is reminiscent of the bow Katniss gave the judges during the skills assessment. There will definitely be more nods to the original series in this movie. The next card comes up and reads, "Every tribute has a story." We get another voiceover from Dean Highbottom as he says, "There has been a change this year. As mentor, Mr. Snow, it's your role to turn these children into spectacles, not survivors." The next shot is of Lucy Gray on the transportation truck with the other tributes. In this shot on the truck, we see Sophia Sanchez as Wovi from District 8, Dimitri Abold as Reaper from District 11, and Hiroki Baracloth as Treach from District 7. Clearly, this is a far cry from what we see when Katniss and Peeta arrive in the capital. For more on the differences, check out my Who Would Win Katniss vs. Lucy Gray video, where I go over some of the differences in treatment during their times in the Hunger Games, linked below. We get another close-up of Corio, this time in his school uniform. Then we see the train with the tributes arriving at the station. This is not the sleek luxury liner of the first film. This train is actually one meant to transport livestock, hence why Lucy looks disheveled when meeting Corio in the next shots. Corio is holding one of his infamous white roses grown by his grandmam. She has a rooftop garden she prides herself on, in particular her roses. Cutting back to Dean Highnbottom, appearing to talk to Corio during the assembly. Lucy Gray and Corio meet each other for the first time at the train station. I love it. It is exactly how I pictured it from the books. Lucy Gray asks Corio what more he can do for her besides bring her roses. He responds by telling her he will do his best to take care of her. Life in the arena is no joke, and this early on in the Hunger Games history, it is especially brutal. As we see Lucy Gray and the other tributes surrounded by peacekeepers in a red-lit tunnel. I believe this is the tunnel to the arena, since we see it again later in the trailer. If you notice, Lucy Gray is in her same dress that she wore to the Reaping. During Katniss's time, they received new wardrobes and had makeovers. Back in Lucy Gray's day, they treated them like animals. They barely fed them, let alone gave them new clothes. In the same tunnel, but at an earlier time, Corio and Lucy Gray are holding hands. Based on the condition of Lucy Gray's dress and her being with Corio, this is before the games. They do visit the arena before the games, and I'm assuming that is when this moment is happening. A major event happens during the visit, but that is too much of a spoiler, so I won't mention it. If you're a keen observer, you'll probably be able to figure it out based on the photos. We transition to another shot of the visit to the arena pre-games. The tunnel that we saw Lucy in earlier is visible. Also, the circles on the floor have numbers on them, one for each tribute. Those circles pop up again later in the trailer. Amongst the students in red, you can see people in plain clothes, which are most likely the tributes. Corio and Lucy Gray are in the middle of the floor on the Pan Am logo. You can see the rainbow in Lucy Gray's dress. We hear Lucy Gray tell Corio, "You really want to take care of me in that arena? Start by thinking I can actually win." She says this during what appears to be a one-on-one interview with Corio. In the book, the mentors met with their tributes before the game. We saw Haymitch and Katniss and Peeta preparing them on how to survive. The difference with the student tributes and victor tributes, a victor will care and prepare someone how to survive in the arena because they have already experienced it. The students just care about the PR of it all, and they really do not have firsthand experience on how to survive the games. The frustration Lucy is expressing is merited. The next card says, "Every saga has a beginning." One of my favorite shots we have is the vintage 50s style TV screens featuring each tribute. There are two that are already blacked out with the warrior with the crossed swords. Put a pin in that. I wonder if these represent dead tributes. The voiceover is the introduction of Lucky Flickerman, most likely ancestor or relative to Caesar Flickerman. I guess it runs in the family. This scene reminds me of the Game Maker headquarters from the Hunger Games movies. People sitting at different desks with screens, monitoring the games and influencing them. Behind Lucky, you can see the student mentors, each with their own desk to monitor the games and work with sponsors. The next shot is outside of the arena. The entry gates are visible, as the arena before the Hunger Games was used to host events like the circus. There is what appears to be a student running ahead of everyone, based on the red costume, and in the back we see a line of people in the same red as their student uniform, so 2 + 2 = 4. There's also a line of people in gray, and next to military style trucks, safe to say these are peacekeepers. In the skyline, there's a lot of construction going on. The war devastated the capital like everywhere else while it was going on. The capital did go on to win, and in their victory became greedy tyrants. However, the effects of war still loomed large during this era. Corio is a war orphan after all. The capital we are going to see is not the same ostentatious capital Effie Trinket lived in. There is a creepy announcer lady that keeps repeating, "Enjoy the show," as Lucky begins to count down from 5. He holds up his 5 fingers, then it cuts to Lucy Gray in the arena. but part of the ceiling has collapsed and there is rubble everywhere. In the background, you can see other tributes. Our first look at Hunter Schafer as Tigress is so beautiful. This is obviously a younger version of Tigress, but I know for most fans, they are used to seeing her with her infamous tiger stripes. Tigress appears to be at Heavensby Hall with the students. She is not in uniform as she is Corio's elder cousin and he is a senior. We see a dirty Lucy Gray's hair being swept by some wind. She might be near some form of an aircraft while it either departs or arrives. She is still in the arena as rubble is visible in the background and she is wearing the same rainbow dress. Instead of the countdown saying 1, we hear Corio say run as he watches on as the Hunger Games begins. The buzzer sounds and the bloodbath ensues. This is the same arena we saw earlier when the students were touring with the mentors. The numbered circles I mentioned were visible earlier are in the same shot. It is the same pattern on the floor, and where the Panem emblem lies, the cornucopia is erected. You could see Lucy Gray amongst those running towards the cornucopia. The fighting has already begun and is breaking out in the background. The next card says, based on the worldwide best-selling novel. It appears to be well after school as no one else is around and it is just Dr. Gall and Corio talking at the mentors' viewing stations. Her clothes look more comfortable from her other costumes. Corio looks a little disheveled as well. This is definitely later at night. We get a close-up of her eyes, one of which is blue and the other black. She has a condition called heterochromia. Dr. Gall is lecturing Corio when she tells him, "What happens in there, fueled with the terror of becoming prey? See how quickly we become predator? See how quickly civilization disappears." I believe this discussion is after an event we see later in the trailer. However, it is related to Dr. Gall's personal philosophy of the games and its reflection on humanity. Checking back into the arena, we see a tribute being surrounded by drones. If you read the books, you should know what this is all about. I won't say it here as it's too much of a spoiler. Going back to what seems to be the opening bloodbath, Reaper looks to be attacking someone. Interesting, but okay. Lucy appears to be hiding. This is most likely taking place during the games in the arena. Another shot of Lucy in the tunnels inside the arena with someone. I'm having trouble making out who this is. If you know who it is, please drop it in the comments. They are being chased by 3 other tributes in the tunnels. We see Treach from District 7 that we saw earlier in the truck, Irene Boehm playing Lumina, also from District 7, and Kjell Brutschiet playing Tanner from District 10. We get a look at one of the monitors and see the viewer's perspective of Reaper, before we see him pull down the Panem banner and we get the perspective from inside the arena. You can tell it's Reaper by what he is wearing, as well as what he is doing. I know my book readers get it. We get an earlier close-up of Reaper screaming in rage. He still has his hat on, so I would assume this is during the opening of the games. The following shot is a train arriving at an industrial-looking train station. There are people with suitcases and of all age groups. The design of the train looks like it could be a predecessor to the trains during Katniss' era. Lucy Gray finally got a change of clothes. She looks clean and she is not the only one with a new look. Corio has a buzz cut and dog tag. They are walking through the woods and talking. This is in District 12. During their walk, Lucy Gray expresses her thoughts on humanity to Corio. There's a natural goodness built into us all. We can step across that line into evil or not. We flash back to Corio in his school uniform at night. I believe this is surrounding the events of the conversation he had with Dr. Gall. As you could see, Corio is flanked by 2 peacekeepers. The pillars in the background look like the ones at the arena. We get a nighttime view of the arena and a figure standing in the circle. This may be considered a wee itty bitty spoiler, so if you don't want to know this, cover your ears for like 10 seconds, okay? Ready? I think this is Sejanus. In the book, he sneaks into the arena during the games at night. Based on the next shot, I'm very positive it is him. Welcome back to those that did not want to get spoiled. Our next shot, we see Corio in the same tunnel at the arena Lucy Gray was in and bathed in the same red light. You can also see the cornucopia from the last shot. Both of these shots are in the same area at the same time, If you're wondering why Koryo is at the arena at night, check out the book or listen to that 10 seconds I told you to tune out of. When Lucy Gray says evil, we cut to angry Snow in his peacekeeper jumpsuit and buzz cut with a stern look on his face. The next shot, we see a bloodied Spruce, played by George Somner, a resident of District 12, as Koryo stares in his full peacekeeper suit. The design of this suit looks like a vintage version of the ones we see in the OG series. Koryo is in his barracks, and whatever he read really upset him, as we see him banging on a trunk. Buzzcut Koryo is pissed. We see him in the woods shooting at a bunch of trees. He's out of uniform but firing his military-grade gun. IDK, that sounds pretty against the rules to me, but unless you got permission during the Mockingjay project to be able to just wear a t-shirt, then okay. My favorite line of the trailer, ripped straight from the books, Dean Highbottom looks to Koryo and says, "You hear that, boy? It's the sound of snow falling." On a semi-brighter spot of the trailer, we get a shot of a beautiful meadow in District 12 in our first look at the Covey, a group of traveling musicians that Lucy Gray is a part of. In the shot, we see Lucy Gray, Koryo, Vaughn Riley playing Maud Ivory, Honor Gillies playing Bob Azure, Ike and A. Onyabu playing Tam Amber. There is another person in the shot holding Maud Ivory, who happens to be the same person I mentioned in that little spoiler moment earlier in the video. We get a close-up of Koryo and Lucy Gray in the lake, then a wide shot of the happiest we see Koryo in this trailer as he jumps into that same lake. Continuing Koryo's good mood, we see Lucy Gray with her guitar and Barb Azure on stage at the Hob getting ready to perform, as Koryo looks on from the crowd, smiling at her. We then see Lucy Gray's little cousin, Maud Ivory, singing as people from 12 dance along. As we see the happy parts of the trailer, Lucky Flickerman says, "How wonderful we all get to be here for someone's final performance." We see he's referring to Lucy Gray. She is wearing the rainbow dress and looks semi-put together. This is for their final interview before the games. There is a donation sticker on the screen as they are collecting money from sponsors for the tributes. The next shot looks like Lucky Flickerman tossing some birds into the air. Based on the watch and theatrics, I'm betting this is Lucky. We get our first look inside the Snow's penthouse and Tigress's room/studio area. There are drawings on the wall as well as swatches, patterns. She likes to design clothes and currently works in the fashion industry. Tigress and Koryo have a moment where she tells him it's not all about winning, but he counters her by saying everything is about winning. Koryo would not have risen to the ranks of president without having that attitude. This next moment legit made me giddy. The rainbow mutation snakes created by Dr. Gall and her team of scientists. These snakes are responsible for one of the most horrifying moments in the book. I love the way they looked in their tank. Dr. Gall looks fabulous in her ombre lab coat and red gloves. She walks up a ramp to pick up one of her creations. Then cuts to Sejanus throwing his viewing station desk chair clear across the room. They look a bit heavy, so he's definitely pretty strong, which makes sense as Sejanus' father works in munitions and is a militant type of dad. They are originally from District 2. Sejanus' dad was wealthy, and with a bit of luck and backing the right horse in the war, he was able to buy his family's way into the capital. Sejanus yells, "You're monsters, all of you!" And it goes back to a closer look at Dr. Gall in her lab attire as she laughs evilly. She is without a doubt a monster, so cutting to her is fitting. The next card reads, The Legend, as we see the legend Coriolanus Snow in his peacekeeper jumper being escorted by uniformed peacekeepers. Then flashbacks to Koryo in his school uniform in Dr. Gall's lab. The following card says, That changed. As we see Koryo standing at attention, based on the following shot, I believe he was meeting Bern Gorman, aka Carl Fuchentaner, a legend in Gin Alley, as Commander Hoff. We get a close-up of Commander Hoff as he stands in front of the peacekeepers based in 12. The camera cuts to a closer look at Koryo in this crowd. Next card, The Games. As we see a slightly older looking Koryo in a red suit in front of the statue of the warrior with the two crossed swords that we saw on the TV screens earlier in the trailer. The last card says, "Begins here," then cuts to a visual of Lucy Gray holding a snake. We hear the voiceover of Donald Sutherland, who played President Snow in the original series, say, "It's the things we love most that destroy us." Then it cuts to young Corio shirtless at the lake house. I would assume this is the same day that they went swimming. The trailer then transitions to a mockingjay and a snake fighting one another, with the title of the film, which poses the question, who is the songbird and who is the snake? Like I said, there was a ton in this trailer that gave away a lot in my opinion, but at the same time, not really. As a book reader, it's making me optimistic, especially with Suzanne Collins' involvement in the fact the novel was made with the intent of becoming a film. I can't wait for more trailers to drop and casting announcements. In the meantime, check out my other The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes videos in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for future uploads. See you next time. Bye!